Hi, I'm Nathan. You're about to travel to a place of humor, analysis, and discovery. Welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we are back again this week to talk about episode 46, The Shepherd and the Giant.
Hot diggity dog. Album 3, Heroes. Here we are.
Yeah, this album, so important to me.
So good. Goated, as it were.
It's one of my, it's a core memory, this album.
I spent some time with children this weekend, enjoying seasonal festivities, and they said they were absolutely cracked at something, meaning they were very good at it. I think, is that a British thing? I bring it up because this album is absolutely cracked. I want to speak with the hip lingo.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not a child, so I can't speak to that.
Oh,
I've never had the hip lingo.
Fair.
Yeah.
Longtime friend of Dylan Weaver, I can attest.
Yeah, not in a try not to do it in a way that's like a jerk about it, but I do kind of just push back against
Change.
I don't know. No, so I was having this conversation with a friend recently, which is I work really hard to never ironically incorporate something into my vocabulary because at a certain point it ceases to be ironic and becomes compulsory, and I don't like that. Like, that's like a thing that that's like a feeling that's really uncomfortable to me, and so I fight back against this pretty hard.
Is that why you stopped saying yeet?
I never started saying yeet.
I've heard it come out of your mouth several times.
Then it was compulsory, and I'm sorry. Or I was doing it as a joke.
Yeah,
which
precisely.
is the thing I'm trying to avoid, which is doing something as a joke to where it becomes compulsory. And there is just I love shared linguistics, the picking up words and phrases from the people around you. Yeah. And I think that so some of that just happens naturally, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with I thought that this I started saying this as a joke around some friends, and now it's a thing that I bring into the workplace.
That's fair.
Or that I say I try and be very, I don't know. I'm careful with despite what this podcast may have projected, I'm careful about the words that come out of my mouth, and about code switching for the audience that's going to receive them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is to an extent my where I land with swearing as well, which is not some moral evil, but a thing that I want to be able to use in the proper time and place, and be able to turn that off and on.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And so, yeah, I
have never had so much temperance with my explicit language, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But hopefully with age comes wisdom.
But yeah, not that, yeah, there is always stuff that seeps in. I am, that is more modern or whatnot. I'm not out here being archaic with my language. I'm totally comfortable with vibe as part of my as part of my daily vernacular.
Yeah.
And that's very much modern lingo or whatever.
For sure.
So it's not I'm trying to, stick my head in the ground and not be affected by anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a snob about it and be I think it's bad when other people do these things.
No.
But
just not for you.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I definitely agree to a certain extent. If I find something funny, it's very hard for me not to go back to that well as long as possible. So if I find something funny ironically, I totally do that thing where then it becomes unironic. But yeah, it's definitely requires a certain amount of self-awareness, and then also just recognizing when you hear somebody else saying something or speaking a certain way and using words, and you're like, oh, I don't feel great about that, but also I do that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's trying to stray that line between like snobbery and like, I don't know, engaging well with people.
Speaking of snobbery, Connie is an absolute snob. No.
Wow. Is that Phil Lawler you were channeling there?
Yes.
Because this episode is written and directed by him. And it originally aired October 29th of 1988, which was a week after the Halloween episode aired.
Interesting.
But is 2 days before Halloween.
Love. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, So we're doing back-to-back episodes today and next week as well. We got a good stretch here of just covering every episode. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
To round out the conclusion of, I think we're at the halfway point
of Connie's conversion
of the Connie year 1 arc.
Mm-hmm. So. She feels about 6 episodes in this episode. Well, maybe Bible. Bible not all bad. Bible maybe. Bible boring. Bible excite.
Wow.
Bible
couldn't have put it
lights.
Better myself. Yeah, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else to hit on. Oh, I guess we can talk through cast stuff. Yeah.
It's pretty stacked.
I'm really enjoying covering like this year 1 Odyssey stuff because it's like, with the exception of some kids, all voices that we know.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I don't look at the cast list ahead of time, and just as we're playing it through, I'm like,
that's this person.
We've got Walker Edmondson doing Samuel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Will Ryan as David. Walker Edmondson again as King Saul. We've got the
Hal Smith as Jesse. This old man.
Yes.
Voice.
Yep. Great Hal Smith as Jesse. We've got the two-hander of Chuck Bolte and Phil Lawler playing 2 of the brothers, which are 2 names that I tend to, like, I can't always tell their voices apart.
That's fair.
So it was, I'm like, I know one of you is George and the other is Dale Jacobs, but if you're playing other characters, it could go either way.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, they're both in there. And then we also have Dave Arnold as another one of those, and Bob Luttrell as a messenger.
Yep. And then we get Walker Edmondson as Samuel, and Goliath, and King Saul.
Yep. 2 of those I had already said, but King Saul as well. And Katie Lee as Connie.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it's absolutely stacked. Obviously, they were on their rookie contracts, otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford this episode.
I mean, I think all of those people are
established.
At this point in the show, Will Ryan, Hal Smith, Walker Edmondson, Katie Lee is like every episode.
Yeah.
And then Chuck Bolte, Dave Arnold, Phil Lawler, Bob Luttrell are all people who work for Focus.
Yeah.
Who they can just bring in. So it's like there's no one that they're like really pulling in during this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, especially this episode without any kids. This is a Connie episode. Shocker. Centers around her and her experience in the environment enhancer.
Yes, a machine that makes total sense.
Yes, complete and utter sense. But before we get into the plot of the episode, Dylan, I believe it's time to roll the promo.
Oh, is that what time it is, Andrew?
Taps watch.
Coming up on Adventures in Odyssey.
This is good stuff, see? Solid!
Connie participates in an incredible encounter between a young man named David and a huge bully called Goliath.
Where is your challenger?
You're only a stone's throw away from the excitement.
I can't believe it! He did it! He won!
Next time on Adventures in Odyssey.
Cryo chamber opening? Interesting.
That music was so good.
Very Jungle Cruisey. Like, it felt like Indiana Jones a bit.
Yes, yeah. It was John Williams-esque. I haven't seen Jungle Cruise, but I've been around Jungle Cruise.
I went on the ride. I don't know if
Oh.
that counts. I mean, that's
Oh.
what the movie's based on. But
Right. So that you were referencing the ride music.
no, I was referencing the music from the trailer of the Jungle Cruise movie.
I have not seen the trailer to Jungle Cruise. It was on a bus ride, and I fell asleep during it
I'm proud of
and
you.
did
Good
see
work.
some of it.
You saw actors on a screen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did. Also, if I ever wanted to do a double feature for literally no one, I think that and Doolittle might be the same movie. Like the Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Doolittle movie
I
where
haven't seen
animals talk. I also have it.
Okay.
But I think that they're the same movie.
They exist in the very same, folder in my brain, so I guess the only way to prove that they aren't would be to watch both of them.
Yeah. So, well, maybe we'll do that for our
Bonus
page.
content, yeah. Pay $3 a month to listen to us watch movies we probably don't like.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, there's a market for that.
For sure, right? Yeah.
Just not sure if we're in it.
I'm gonna have to get better. I need to go to school for radio broadcasting or something.
Oh yeah. You do that, Andrew.
Counseling's mostly about listening. It really hasn't translated well to podcasting.
Yeah, because no part of podcasting is listening.
Well, if you'd listened to this podcast, you certainly wouldn't tell from my contributions.
But Andrew, that just means that you should be able to do great interviews, right?
Some might say I've been doing great interviews.
All right, Andrew.
Jokes.
I'm just gonna leave the show now, and you can have Katie Lee on.
Yeah, that's exactly what'll happen. I'll get Katie Lee, Nathan Hoobler, and Phil Lawler. We'll throw down. It'll be a 3-week event. Actually, it'll probably be like a 4-month event because each conversation will be 3 episodes worth.
Yeah, apparently Phil Lawler doesn't have a hard out ever,
Nope.
given the length of some other interviews he's given.
Yeah. I bet you Katie Lee sticks to a good schedule, though.
Yeah,
Maybe
she's got stuff to
But
do.
I would have so much to talk about,
It's true. She's Connie.
She is Connie.
This is her episode as well, and it is, as we just established, album 3. I know like the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. I think this is the first album 3 episode we're covering.
Yeah.
But period, ever.
No.
Think
What?
so. I am going to double check just because I would hate to be proven wrong. We don't like egg on my face. We might. Did we do Peace on Earth? Is that one of the Barkley ones we did? I don't think so. I think that's the Barkley one we haven't done yet. Yeah, no, that's the one where they get robbed. We didn't do that one.
Yes.
We didn't do that one.
No, you are correct. But we
Okay.
did talk about it during the George
Sure, during
Barkley
the
arc.
visitors.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, so no, there are no. Yeah, this is the first time we're doing a Heroes episode.
Wow, I'm really happy to be here for this.
yeah.
I mean, I'm here for most of the episodes, but
All of them so far?
yeah, that is actually very surprising to me.
You've been on every episode?
Yeah,
I mean, you were half on the one,
that's true.
and there was another one that you thought you might not make that was a guest episode, and then you did make it. I don't remember who that was.
We were guessing on somebody else's show?
No, we were having someone on as a guest, and it was a thing of it's like, if Andrew doesn't make it, we'll just record without him because they had a small window of time. But I don't remember who it was.
Oh, was it? It wasn't Patrick, was it?
I don't think it was Patrick. Maybe it was Patrick. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
But yeah, it's so good. Yeah, we've both been on every episode of this show.
We're really starting from square one here this episode.
So right. So the thing I was gonna say about album 3 is just I know every single beat in these stories. And so it's and this is the first episode on album 3. And so it was my this was my earliest Odyssey reference point.
Yeah.
For a lot of my time listening to Odyssey. Like, you know, I'd listen to radio stuff and whatever, but I got this album pretty early in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had up till that point been listening to, more recent Novacom era, whatever. I got this album literally because Eugene is on the cover.
Nice.
And he's doing cool stuff with a welding helmet.
Yeah.
And that just seemed like,
And it's called Heroes, or, well, what it was called when you got it.
No, I got it as Heroes. I got it as part of the Golden Audio release on the first time it was put on CD.
Okay.
So.
Oh, man. God, I love the Golden Audio release.
Mm-hmm.
That was my, oh, goodness. Greatest Adventure of the Summer, whatever it's called now. It used to be Stormy Weather.
It's the album 2?
Yeah,
so
album
we're talking
2.
Yeah. But yeah, it just... Yeah, so it's just one that I know so well. And I think... I don't know. I think this episode really works.
What was it like listening to it again? Because obviously, this is the first time.
It was like a warm blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in a way that I think Odyssey often can be for us, but especially for this. It
for the
was
familiar ones.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, I love how established Connie and Whit feel in their relationship. Like, right off the top of this one is really nice. And yeah, it just, it's great. And I think I've often recalled this episode as an Imagination Station episode.
Yeah.
Like, we've even referenced it on the show before as such, but it's not.
It's an environment enhancer.
Which Whit explains is a tool he's developed. They're headphones you put on and they add sound effects to a story.
Yeah.
Which is not what it does in the episode.
No, not
but it
at all.
is how it is explained.
Yes. It starts off with Whit being like, put on these headphones, sit in this chair, use your imagination, lay back and relax. I'm going to tell you a story. Then Connie is walking up a road talking to Whit while this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, it completely changes its function.
Yeah, and she I guess it's established this is a new thing Whit's working on in the Bible room.
Mm-hmm.
Connie comes in. She's like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, this is this thing. I'm going to use it to, like, make Bible stories come to life. And she's like, oh, I wish it was, like, more interesting stories than Bible stories. And Whit's like, well, actually, the Bible is interesting. Mm-hmm. Don't believe me? Put these on. And Connie's like, well, I guess I got to put these on to, prove you wrong. And, yeah.
She gets transported to ancient Israel. It's following... right before, so it's like the beginning of 1 Samuel, following David.
Well, it's the beginning of David's portion of 1 Samuel. Because 1 Samuel starts with Saul.
Yeah.
But
and I think David comes in chapter 9, I want to say.
Could be.
My OT2 class coming in clutch there. Remembering the book divisions.
Look at that. Yeah, and Whit just starts off narrating it. Setting the scene. It's really good.
Yeah.
She comes up on Will Ryan as David. And yeah, and then the two of them are able to have a conversation, and I'm like, yeah, okay. We're just hand waving, right?
Okay.
We're just hand waving all this, but but it's audio only, except that then it's not, because a lion comes up to attack David, and Connie pulls off the headphones and is like, I can't watch.
I'm freaking out.
What can't you watch? But also, it is scary.
Yeah, very scary. That lion is horrifying, and the sound effects that they use,
it's very well engineered.
Yeah, it escalates perfectly, and then it cuts out completely when when she takes off the headset. It's very well done. Not well explained in the plot, but it sounds fantastic.
But doesn't
it's
matter.
It's for kids. Are they really gonna?
Yeah. No, I don't care. It's just it's one of those things where it's just we're seeing the kind of the the early Odyssey like problems and whatnot, and
Yeah.
like the stuff that they go on to fix. So like we've talked about it throughout, where it's like they're still figuring out how they can do a show in this medium and what kind of the bounds of what they can pull off is. And they very clearly did this. It didn't make cohesive sense, and they were like, okay, Imagination Station, that's what we're doing. Because I can understand the motivation of this is an audio medium, so let's make a device that enhances the audio.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
that's what we're doing to make this come to life for you at home.
Yeah.
But what you're also doing is like having them interact and reference visual things so that it fills in the picture for us. But where are they getting that picture from?
Exactly.
Which is when I think then they realize like, oh, we can have the characters use a video or VR or whatever device and describe to the audience. Like the characters don't have to exist in the same 2 dimensions that the audience exists in.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, yeah, like I can understand and sympathize with how they got to this point.
And then
yeah,
also where they go from there.
right. And I think like, yeah, they get around it well. And it's just another one of these like early Odyssey growing pains where they're not quite sure how to accomplish what they want to do in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to get to see that, especially with as much as we've seen it work later on.
Oh,
it's
for sure.
interesting to see how it falls a little short here in the first year.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the dramatization of all of it. And it's very early Odyssey in that sense. And in some ways, it's super corny. Like, the accents that everybody has in the story is, they're whatever. It's funny. It's enjoyable. It's for kids. But I do appreciate the extra embellishment and kind of the... Like, to jump to the end of the episode, when she cuts off Goliath's head, it just sounds like a knife on a cutting board when it's referenced.
So I actually have from the original complete guide a Dave Arnold talking about
Time to get well
this
actually by
this
Dave
episode.
Arnold.
So one, this is his first solo producing credit on an episode.
Okay.
Dave Arnold, who then goes on to be like one of the main producers.
Yeah.
But it was him and Bob Luttrell in the early days kind of sharing duties. And I guess he was more or less in training, co-producing these. And this is him like getting one to do on his own.
Wow.
And he, is talking about the sound effect of Goliath's head being chopped off, that he accomplished it by bringing in a cantaloupe and taking a machete through it. Saying it worked great, but it was kind of messy.
That feels like an adequate description as to how that would go down.
Yeah, but it's so...
Man, it doesn't sound like there was that much resistance. I would think, you could pick a different fruit. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. There's...
Do you think you could cut through a coconut in one hack of a machete?
I don't think a coconut... I think you need the sound to be somewhat juicy in order to accomplish it.
True. Coconut would not meet those requirements.
Like, the problem is that it's got a thud at the end.
Yeah.
But the basic idea of we want it to sound like it is going through something like that
Flesh.
is fleshy and moist
Yeah.
is like...
Very well done.
It's like cantaloupe.
Yeah.
But I also just love... Like, I love Foley work.
Uh-huh.
I
Well, and
love,
the
like,
idea
this-
that he was like, okay, I gotta go out to, Wise or whatever and buy a cantaloupe that I'm gonna cut through.
Yeah.
And record it, and I might need more than one cantaloupe, and... Yeah, no, it's so interesting how they come up with the ideas for that sort of thing, and... Yeah. And how big of a difference it makes, good Foley work. We talk about it all the time on this show.
Yeah. And you're also trying to be like, we want this to sound visceral and identifiable, but also not be like total gross out disgusting for people listening.
Yes, for sure. Well, for 8 to 12,
Right.
having it be a bit cartoony with the thud is probably the correct decision.
Yeah.
I would like to briefly yuck a few yums, if I am allowed.
Yeah.
Wit is very smug this
Oh,
episode.
yeah, literally my next note is smug wit.
He's so smug. He's like, oh, it's not too exciting for you, is it? And like,
Yes.
oh, these Bible stories are so boring, aren't they? And it's like, I get it. You literally made this invention to serve this exact purpose, to throw, smart alecky kids in to get them to appreciate the Bible more. But, oof.
But yeah, no, smug wit, as established, not our favorite.
Yeah. And
But-
maybe he can get away with it because him and Connie are close and they're just kind of joshing and whatever. But about this sort of thing, I don't know. It could definitely be done with some more tact.
Yeah, I don't think that they have the. I think it's still too early for them to have that level of easy of.
Well, about God, and when she's clearly, begins being very apprehensive towards it and being like, oh, this just isn't really important to me, and he's like, so now is it important to you? And I'm like,
Correct. Yep.
maybe, I don't know, it's God.
Yeah.
Not really something I figure out on the first go.
I'm also just like, what did we establish? She's 14.
Yeah.
And she just was scared and pulled off her headphones.
Yeah, exactly. It's too scary for her. And
Yeah,
she
as a
pulls them off.
lion mauls David, or so she thinks.
Yeah, precisely.
Like a lot. Yeah.
And then Wit kind of eggs her on and cites her curiosity. Like, aren't you just a little bit curious?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you spend so much time messing with Connie and giving her grief for her curiosity and the problems it causes. Now you're really going to lay into it and be like, yeah, aren't you curious about the Bible?
Yeah. Fair. Yeah, it's something. But yeah, Connie then goes back into the story, but in a fun device, she
Yeah.
can't rewind it.
Yeah.
It only goes, basically once Wit starts it, it just keeps going even when she pulls the headphones off. And so when she puts it back in, she's greeted by Samuel.
I'm like, oh, we're past this now.
Yeah, and she doesn't know what's going on.
Let's talk about Samuel's accent.
It's great. I love it.
What is it?
It's cartoon.
Fair.
It's an accent in a way that no real person talks. It's Walker Edmonston just doing a voice.
It's slightly Jewish.
It is.
And
It
the
is
whole bit that,
slightly
I'm
Jewish.
charmed, I'm sure.
Sure. It is. It's slightly Jewish, which I guess is
Also a
fine
bit Jersey,
because they are Jewish.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Although I don't know. It's more Yeah.
Wrong population.
Right. But yeah, and it's just it flirts with being Bart Rathbone.
Yes, definitely.
But is even more of a caricature than he is. Mm-hmm. Which I think is why it works.
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't say that to disparage
No,
it
I
or
know.
Walker
Yeah.
Edmonston, but it's so funny. And listening to the story where it's so highly dramatized. Yeah, I was like, what is that one?
Yeah, and he's she's looking for David. He doesn't know David, but he reveals that he's going to Jesse's to anoint one of their sons.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, but he doesn't know Jesse, and Connie's very confused.
Mm-hmm.
And then she stumbles upon the, well, if you're going to, wait, I thought you said Saul was king. So if you're going to anoint him, isn't he going to be mad? And Walker Edmonston as Samuel goes, that is a distinct possibility. And that is just one of those glued in my head phrases that I am sure I have used, distinct possibility.
Oh yeah.
As we talked about at the beginning of this episode, as vernacular that just seeped into my life.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
100%.
yeah, no, distinct possibility is for sure a thing I have said in the way that a lot of Eugenisms are things that I've said.
Yeah. Oh man. And this episode is perfect for brain sticky lines because everything is so elevated and cartoony. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Love. So yeah, Samuel is afraid of Saul, and Connie's like, "Why are you doing this?" And Samuel's like, "Well, it wasn't my idea." And she's like, "Well, whose idea was it?" And he's like, "God's." And she's like, "Oh,
Right, of course. I should have known.
yeah." And Connie kind of rolls her eyes, but just the way that he delivers that line is so funny to me. It's like, God's.
Yeah, and then Wit jumps in with some more narration, and we cut over to a new scene, which is at Jesse's house, as Samuel's like finishing up going through all the sons and seeing that none of them are fit. And it's this weird thing where it's like Connie just kind of appears in that scene. Samuel knows her, and then later David enters the scene and knows her. And I'm just like, none of these mechanics make sense. Like, we just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It's just jumping around in the story.
Yeah, and it's Hal Smith is
Jesse.
as Jesse, just channeling like Friar Tuck.
Such Friar Tuck. Like, you can hear his mustache getting in the way of him saying words.
It's very good.
It's really funny and thoroughly muffled. Like, if you told me he spoke through a sock, I would not be surprised.
Dave Arnold's just got another note in here. It's like, we created the sound of Jesse by having him speak through a sock.
It was a wool sock.
Yeah, I just took it off my foot and I gave it to Hal Smith and was like, hey, I know you are an amazing voice actor. Could you speak through this for me?
I'm so sorry. I just gave you hand, foot, and mouth.
All three.
Yeah.
And Connie's just like, wait, none of these people are going to be the king? They're all so big and strong and good looking.
Swoon.
So she can see them.
Yes, for sure. Clearly. These headphones have great visuals. HDR sound.
But yeah, then they're like talking about like, oh, there is one more son, and like they're going to fetch him, and like, oh, did you ask about David? And he goes to, oh no, I didn't, and goes to ask Jesse, and then
David's coming up the road right now, and then David pops in.
Yep.
Like, hi, Connie.
Yeah. And all right, David and Connie have great chemistry.
Oh yeah, they do. Oh, it's hot.
It's so good, right? Like I have never been I've never been into Connie and Eugene as a combo. I don't think it works at all.
No, not at
but
all.
that is not to say Will Ryan and Katie Lee can't have good romantic chemistry.
Oh, such good romantic chemistry.
It is. Yeah, I'm very
softness
into
in his
it.
voice when he's speaking to her, it's like there's a certain amount of affection, but it's general, and she's like so wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
And it's David. Like, how could you be mad? Yeah, literal future king of Israel. Man after God's own heart. It's the holiest of crushes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He didn't have the holiest of crushes.
No. But he
Famously.
Yeah. He did crush somebody? He'll be creamed. Oh, shout out to the VeggieTales adaptation.
Did the word crush originated from David because he literally crushed someone over it?
I like this canon. I believe it. I'm adopting it as history.
But yeah, it is. It's just good. And yeah, there's like this whole bounce back and forth between Jesse and Connie and Samuel saying like he's the one, and he just keeps saying the one what?
Yeah, the one what? The one what? The next king of Israel, or the leader of God's people.
Wow. And then not bad.
Rise and anoint him.
And then we have like a scene. Connie is so giddy over getting to see David get anointed, which is funny, but like she's just
cool,
like,
though.
I've never seen like a king get anointed before, and I'm like,
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think that like anointing kings is really a thing outside of the Bible, so it's like, you think of like crowning them or like knighting people. I don't feel like the whole pour oil on them feels very
biblical,
Judeo-Christian.
Yeah. I would have to do. I'll ask my professor tomorrow to see if there's any.
Extra biblical anointings.
Examples. Well, he taught my ancient history class, so he knows a lot.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Dr. Carver, please listen to this. Actually, please do not listen to this podcast. I love you very much. You're a great professor,
and I would like to graduate.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we have this scene where it's like her walking along a path, coming up on like, their camp, like the Israelite camp, and Whit's doing the narration again. And Connie's just giddy about getting to see someone anointed.
Yeah.
And
David's coming to go visit his brothers because they're at war with the Philistines.
Yep.
Yeah. Historically accurate, obviously.
Sure. And the Connie gets excited to see David, and then they go and hang out and watch. Yeah. And Goliath comes out, and there's this moment where they're chatting, like the brothers and David and Connie, and they're they reference like Goliath and point out, and she's like, that brown statue. Then he moves, and she's like, the statue's alive.
Yeah.
And Goliath's all, I defy any man. And
I think they took it straight from scripture.
This is the thing. I think it is very faithful to scripture, and I think that because last time I read the passage, I thought this is very faithful to Odyssey. Because I have it memorized from Odyssey. So David's just like, kind of gets up on this hill and is like, well, so I guess first his brother's established that he's like, if you do this, you get to marry one of Saul's daughters and become tax exempt, and your family will love you. And David gets up on the hill and is just like, this man is making a fool of us, the Israelites, and defying our God. Why isn't anyone challenging them? And everyone's like, well, we're scared. And he's like, all right, take me to Saul. I'm going to do this thing. Which is just the Bible.
Yeah, that's fair.
As I recap this, I'm like, I am just saying what the Bible says at this point. But so he goes in, and there's this funny bit where Saul's like, yo, go get the great messenger, go get the person who wants to take him. He's like, no, I'm the one who wants to take him. And Connie's like, no, don't do this. And he's like,
don't do it.
Yeah. And then there's this armor, and Connie's like, well,
wear this tunic.
Yeah, wear the armor, and she knocks on it and says, this is good stuff. Again, just breaking reality.
Yeah.
Not only does she see stuff, she can hold it and knock on it.
Tactile interaction. This is not AR. This is literally being there.
Right. I mean, this is like your Ready Player One VR.
Yeah.
Suit with haptic feedback. It's the real deal. Connie's just like, what are you going to do? Throw rocks at him? He's like, well, actually, and picks up some rocks and a sling and his staff and goes out to take on Goliath. And Connie's just nervous for him, but
then it cuts to Whit doing the narration, talks about it. He only threw one stone, and his aim was true, and it sunk deep into his head, and then he chops off his head.
Yep, and we get the cantaloupe scene.
Yep, and Connie's freaking out. She's like, oh, yay, oh, I don't feel well. And to be fair, I think that would be my response to seeing somebody's head cut off, but also knowing I didn't have to be a slave. I mean, subject. That's also my gripe with this. They completely just get over the fact that if the Israelites lost, they would have been pillaged and raped, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's an okay thing to get past in a kids show.
Fair. At least the R word, for sure.
Yeah, can you imagine the problems we'd have with this show if Odyssey did that?
They would exist. They would be different, but it would not be in historical accuracy.
Yeah, I think it's effective. And then
so then the Philistines try to run away because they're freaked out,
Yep.
and the Israelites yell at them again, and then charge after, and it's this whole triumphant ending, and the adventure ends, and Connie comes out, and she's like, "What? I want to know more. I want to know more. Like, what happens?"
And and Whit says, hey, well, if you want to read more, it picks up in 1 Samuel 17.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give her a Bible, which is weird. I'm just like, you should just give her a Bible, Whit.
You're in the Bible room. There's gotta be at least one.
But it's just this assumption of just like she's got access to a Bible, and it's like, does she?
She has access to Wit's End.
Right. And then
if you can stand a boring old Bible story,
that is
Wit,
Yep.
shut up.
And then
They are kind of boring.
And then she leaves, and on the note of, it made me see this room in a way I hadn't seen it before. And Whit just goes, yes, this is everything I've ever wanted. This is exactly what was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Well, and Connie, it also kind of cycles back to earlier when she sees David get anointed. She's like, when he got up, he just looked so different. And it's just like well, your life is transformed by Christ, and just everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah. You just look like Christ.
Amen.
That's we've all Christians have got a nice sheen to them.
It's the sound my sheen makes.
But yeah, that's the episode. It's
That was a Charlie Sheen joke.
yeah.
in there.
No,
Okay.
I know. I didn't. Yep. Yeah. So like that's the episode. It's good. It's short. It's basically just a retelling of David. But I as someone like I
don't hate this as a retelling for kids.
I think this is a very good retelling, is what I was going to say. It'd be like, I'm sure our resident Bible critic, or Bible episode critic, Drew Huber, not too critical of the Bible itself, but
hates it.
a resident Bible expert, Drew Huber, would have takes on this that are different. But my feeling was very positive, and just a lot of love and enjoyment for this epised, and just
Those deep memories that you have with it.
like I always liked I liked the character of David. He's an easy one for kids to get into.
Oh yeah. Well, and Odyssey sells David really hard.
And so it's like part of it's that, but it's also like, the Psalm 23 of it all. And the like even just like weird, like I don't know, like there's so much like so much imagery too with David that I feel like just keeps coming up. But it's like,
for sure.
But yeah, I mean he's a staple character for like Sunday school classes.
Yes.
And you've got, Davy and the Big Pickle, and you have the bathtub one, and like there's stuff in like there both of those being VeggieTales episodes that are David stories, and this being Odyssey doing David and Goliath, and then also like weird things where I'm like, where when I think of like slings and whatnot, like I think of the what's the
oh man,
it's the BBC adaptations of the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh,
like
yes.
the old school 2 VHS one. There's a bunch of kids slay giants with slings in one of those, which is like another like early memory.
So crazy.
There's all like the Pilgrim's Progress stuff, which
love the sling.
Yeah, and so it's just, I don't know, this episode just strikes home for a number of reasons, and where I'm like, and where I'm like, like the wit smugness, or just like the show on its whole just being like, look at us, like winning people for Christ, like the kind of like the, I don't know, like that whole like.
How big do you think a sling stone is? Because I've seen one. And I want to get your my OT2 professor brought in a sling stone from the era of this.
Oh wow!
Time period.
I always picture like palm of your hand. Nope.
Bigger. They're like yay big.
Oh, so baseball sized.
Yeah.
About what you're doing.
Between baseball and softball, incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
Like if that had hit a normal person uncovered in the forehead, like their whole face would cave in.
Gotcha. Cool. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I've just got so much affection for this story, this episode. But yeah, I will say like the parts that don't work is the part that feels like manipulation rather than relationship.
Yeah.
Where I'm so firmly in the, like, if you're going to have any effect, Christian or not, on the world around you, it's in like one-to-one relationships with other people.
Yeah.
Like that's what so much my values like revolve around. Is it's like that's how I believe like you change the world is through like
one-to-one relationships with yourself
like
and with other
talking
people.
to the people in your life who
sure.
you have influence over. And so that's where I'm just like, yeah, it's tough when it's like, oh, like I don't know, whenever it's like, you know, where the solution is we send them on an adventure and they see how they were wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm like, that's just the nature of what this show does and is not really something, that I'm going to be like torn up about or feel like.
Well, Nick, you can get away with stuff like that on like PBS Kids shows and
that's
stuff
what
like
I was
that,
gonna
as long
say,
as it's
is like-
math or whatever.
Right, is like
geometry
it also
isn't important.
Yeah, it works as a story, and I like that it's
Rest in peace, Cyber Chase. Rest in peace, Digit.
right.
Prayers up.
Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried, bummer. But it's the right. It's the thing where I really appreciate that in doing this arc that we does have an ongoing relationship with Connie, because there are other times within Odyssey where someone just gets tossed into Imagination Station, and it's not like it's not part of their journey. It is their journey.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that this is a piece of the thing for Connie, and that she doesn't come out like wildly changed. She's just mildly softened to the idea of like, oh, you know, there is interesting stuff in the Bible.
For sure. And I think they intentionally focus that way for Connie's conversion arc, which I do appreciate, and I guess we shall see if that continues to be the case. To go to the discussion questions, because
Oh no.
there is one just blowing my mind. Why did David pick up 5 stones, Dylan, to fight Goliath? Why not 1, or 2, or 3, or 4?
Is that a question?
That is the question! Look at the wiki.
I'm seeing it on the wiki. Now I'm checking the book. Because I'm like, I don't know. Do I believe this?
This is bonkers. Is there a reason for, like, am I supposed to know? It's not like
it doesn't have the or in the official guide. It just says, why did David pick up 5 stones to fight Goliath? Like, I don't know. Did he not have enough faith that he could do it in 1?
Well, and the first one is, why not 1? And I'm like, well, I think 1 is a bit generous. I know that God is on your side. And to be fair, that should be enough reason to believe that you will throw true. I'm still taking 2.
I don't know the significance of the 5 stones, and I'm sorry.
Well, and it's not like it's not like it's 7 for the days of creation. It's not like it's 9 for the tribes of Israel or whatever. Or no, there's more than 9. Isn't
There's
there?
12.
12. Yeah, 12 for the tribes of Israel. Like,
It's not like it's 3, which is another number that has biblical significance.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into numerology. That's just a thing we can avoid.
True. On this kid's educational programming.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's...
I'm going to call this episode educational because it is historically accurate, I think.
Hey, there we go.
Minus the whole subjects bit.
It's a history episode of the show. What'd you say, minus?
Minus the subjects bit.
Oh, sure. And minus, the Connie and David romance that we've got going here.
Nah, that's canon too.
Yeah. Look. I love it. Big fan.
It was a good episode.
Yeah.
It was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I didn't have nearly as much nostalgia as you did, but I had a great time.
Totally reasonable on your part.
But I definitely heard it plenty of times before. Like at least 3 times, I think, or 4.
Yeah. Anything you want to do as a plug here as we kind of wrap up, head out?
Plugging spring. Just get out there. If you have allergies like me, grin and bear it. They make medications for it. Just suck it up and enjoy the renewal of life through nature. It's beautiful and it happens every year. So don't miss it this time.
Wow. All right. I love the renewal of life through nature.
What about you, Dylan? You got anything to plug?
I do not.
Leave a review.
I've got nothing to plug, but as Andrew said, you can leave a review for us on the on Apple Podcasts if you're an iPhone person. On Spotify, you can leave us a 5-star rating. You can also leave reviews on Stitcher and on Podchaser, and a myriad of other places. If you ever, leave us a review on somewhere other than iTunes, and specifically iTunes in the US, just let us know, whether that be in a tweet or an email or Instagram DM. Just in some way, let us know so that we can track that down and read it on air.
Yeah.
Unless it's a low rating, in which case you don't need to tell us. Don't leave it, and then don't tell us you left it, and we'll get along great.
This is an authoritarian relationship. You dissent, you are silenced.
You dissent, I don't have to give you a voice.
True.
You can speak to the internet.
True.
I just don't need to platform you on my show.
In fact, it's actually probably better for the show if you do talk about how much you do or don't like it on the internet.
Is this a all press is good press mentality, Andrew?
In the realm of Adventures in Odyssey podcast, there's it's very cutthroat. There's a lot of different angles. There's a lot of different titans roaming around the halls these days. Yeah, all press is good press. We need what we can get.
Oh, man. And with all that being said, we'll be back next week for episode 47, A Single Vote.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or focus on the family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. The Shepherd and the Giant was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.